faithful ladypreneurs. Welcome to another Technique Tuesday where we talk about divine techniques for real results for you and your business. So if you did not get a chance to watch the last Technique Tuesday video all about how to create better branding in social media using Canva, go check it out because it is like life-changing, guys. It is so much fun and awesomeness. Okay, so let's get into it here. We've pretty much all heard, or most of us have heard of the forming technique, how to form a conversation with someone. And that's family or from, occupation, recreation, and message. So this is really just to be able to break the ice and get people talking to you, and it gives you something to be able to say next, right? Well, the problem is that form is kind of the icebreaker, but if we only stick with family, occupation, recreation, then it's really hard sometimes to get to the message, right? And so we want to make sure that we are controlling the conversation, and not in like a controlling kind of way, but the person who asks the questions is the person who controls the conversation. And we want to really be intentional with our conversations. Yes, it's great to get to know other people, especially to be able to serve them, but we can't serve them the most if we don't know what their needs are. And so that's what we're going to talk about here today, is how to make it so easy to bring up your message, whether it's a product or service that you have in that conversation of meeting someone. So let's dig into this here, because a conversation isn't just about getting to know someone, although that is the biggest part, right? But because we want to be intentional, we're going to ask ourselves, how close to the ideal client that we have are they, so that we really only work with our ideal client or as close as we possibly can. Just knowing how close that person is to our ideal client will help us, and we're going to identify that in our conversation. Number two is, what are their needs so that you can really serve them best? And that's what we're going to dive into right now. So instead of just staying with the, it might sound like this if we stay in the form realm, right? Hi, nice to meet you. We belong to the same weight loss group. Are you from Utah? Yes, I am. Great. What do you do for work? I'm a nurse. That's neat. What do you like to do for fun? Read. Have you ever had those conversations that just go nowhere, right? It's great, you're getting to know each other a little bit, but it's not going anywhere. And so we want to be intentional. So let's say that you are selling a weight loss pill, and your ideal client is someone who wants to lose a lot of weight, not just a couple of pounds, that they've tried different things in the past to lose weight and they're looking for something more, and they're ready to invest in their health. So that's the first step, guys, is we want to understand what type of person are we looking for. Because once we can do that, then we can start to see those things come up in the conversation. And it'll be a lot more of a red flag for us to be able to dive into and know where to dive into in the conversation. So, and when we say ideal client, don't get freaked out, because sometimes we think we're only going to work with our ideal client if we talk about our ideal client. We can work with whoever we want to, but knowing how close they are to the ideal client helps us to understand how we want to approach that situation. So it might sound like something like this. Hey, I see that you're in this weight loss group too. I love that they give great tips on how to lose weight, since that's what I'm here for. I'm just curious, what made you want to join? See, there's a few really good things about this first sentence here. One is that it acknowledges how we know each other. That way, it's not just like, okay, who are you and what do you want, right? And then two, it's a two-way conversation, right? We got to remember that. When I first started networking, and I think sometimes I fall into this pattern a little bit because I'm a little bit of a red personality, is that sometimes we just drill them with questions. And then they're like, okay, what is this all about, right? So it's a two-way conversation. Give some information about you so that they feel like they can open up more. And it allows both of you guys to be more vulnerable. And then three is you're leading them to the answer you want by giving them the answer first. So one of the first things that we want to identify in this scenario is, Are they trying to lose weight? Just because they belong to a weight loss group doesn't necessarily mean that they're trying to lose weight. They could be supporting their spouse or something like that. So, you know, when you say, that's what I'm here for, what are you here for? That gives them the ability to say, yeah, me too. And then one of the like silver bullets, guys, is I'm just curious. When you say I'm just curious, you can ask almost anything after that, because it really takes down that defensive wall and it opens them up to be like, oh, okay, well, she's just curious. Because honestly, we are just curious, and that's okay. But it gives us that wiggle room to be able to ask it. So the person might say, yep, I'm trying to lose weight too, right? There, now you know that they are trying to lose weight, but we don't know exactly how much, right? We don't know if they're a couple pound people that they want to lose weight, or if they, you can tell I do not know very much about losing weight, but we're going to go with this scenario here, or if they really want to lose a lot of weight. So then you could say something like, yeah, that can be hard, especially if you're like me, trying to lose more than just a couple. Say, okay, are you trying to lose just a couple pounds, or are you trying to lose a lot, without asking that question, right? We would never want to assume that and be like, hey, you know, it looks like you're trying to lose 20 pounds. Like, don't go there, right? Just start with the conversation, get it flowing. And it's ideal to be able to get their goal, because when you get their goal, then you have something that you're shooting for to help them to achieve. You can figure out how that product or service that you offer fits within their goal. And guys, if it doesn't fit within their goal, then we don't offer it. We never offer a product or service unless we know that it can help that person. And that's what you're looking for, is a way that your product or service can help them, because that's why we got into our business anyway. So asking about their goal is a really, really good way to do that. So they might say something like, yes, I'd love to lose 20 pounds in 2 months for my wedding. Now you've identified a need just off of that first question. We don't even have to go into like family, occupation, recreation if we don't feel like that's where we want the conversation to go. And of course you can bring that stuff up later on and pepper that in throughout the conversation, but we want to be really intentional so that we can bring the message up later on. Now that we have identified that they want to lose more than just a couple of pounds, then the next question that we want to focus on is, what have they done in the past to lose weight? You know, if our ideal client is they've tried a bunch of different things and they're looking for the next thing, then we want to ask a question around that. So I hope you guys are starting to see how you can use FORM, family, occupation, recreation, and message, or FROM, the F can stand for both, to be able to pepper in our intentional questions to, one, qualify them to see if we're a good fit for each other, and two, to be able to really understand and identify their needs so that it's really natural. So as you're identifying their needs, then you can say, well, hey, I don't know if this would be, if you'd be open to this, but I have this great blah, 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 which would be your freemium, and I feel like it could really give you some great tips to be able to help you move forward, because we always want to add value in our conversation. So try and play around with this for your market. What is it that you want to make sure that you understand about them as you're having this conversation? You know, we're not just shooting the breeze, we want to be intentional with the conversation. And if shooting the breeze is that's what you want to do, that's great. But in order to be able to identify if it's a good fit, we want to have specific questions that we ask everyone to see if it's a good fit. So bring the conversation to where you want it to go to identify their needs and to qualify that person. And pepper in those form questions. Always give more information about you as you're asking that question, so it's a two-way conversation. And always give value at the end, because that is really being able to help the other person, is just giving them a little taste of what you can do and then offering the next step. Always be moving them to the next step. So I hope this has helped, guys. I've talked to a few of my clients that have started forming people, right? But it doesn't go anywhere if you just stick with family, occupation, recreation, and message. We want to make sure that we are being intentional with qualifying those people and identifying their needs. And I guarantee that this will help you get there. So if you have any questions, or if you'd like to have a discovery call with me for free, then go ahead and just contact me via Messenger and we'll set that up. So thanks so much for watching today, guys, and join us on another Technique Tuesday video.